Hello, everyone. Welcome back to yet another political episode. All right, this video is coming out on the 18th, but I'm recording this on the 17th, which is Friday. We got to talk about a bombshell poll from one of the worst polling sources, which is Fox News, of course. They're a very bad pollster, but it's very good for Jack Ciattarelli because it shows how much Jack is gaining even in bad polling sources. You'll see that in a recent Fox News survey, it finds that Mikie Sherrill is ahead of Republican Jack Ciattarelli by 5 points among New Jersey likely voters, 50% to 45%, down from an 8-point lead in late September, 50% to 42%. Among registered voters, she's up 4 points, 48% to 44%, down from a 7-point lead from 48% to 41%. So this is very good because in either way, the race has tightened. Sherrill's edge is inside the poll's margin of sampling error. So meaning that, okay, she's below 50%. And better to point out now, we are having more countless polls showing that Mikie Sherrill, she is not reaching 50% anymore. Maybe in that Fox News poll, then again, I'm not surprised because it's a Fox News poll. It'll show Mikie Sherrill up 50%. But for Fox News, I would expect a margin, which would a much wider margin. But you'll see the most recent poll shows a neck and neck. This was from Insider Advantage at Trafalgar Group. I want to believe, close to the national poll here. But you'll see that neck and neck. We see the Fox News poll, but that poll is recent, and that poll should be in here. Regardless, it looks like that poll too has hit and hurted Mikie Sherrill even in the average point, because as you can see here, Mikie Sherrill is declining in the average. Real Clear Politics pretty much has her going down to 3% almost. In the margin. Decision Desk HQ 4.7%. Then there's Race to the White House, 4.6%. And by the average, it's 4.4%. So you very well could see Mikie Sherrill by Election Day probably leading in the average by 2. That is very good. And I want to share how much, we've seen in the past that, in certain elections in history, for example, the United States Senate race, some Senate races, I want to use Pennsylvania, for example. United States Senate election in Pennsylvania. Use Pennsylvania, for example. This was a race that was originally predicted to go for Bob Casey Jr., and it ended up going for Jack Ciattarelli. Yeah, you see, for the most part, it's mostly tilting Democrat, leaning Democrat. And just like I predict Mikie Sherrill will end up coming, Casey was leading at the end of the day with 2.2%. But ultimately, the race proved to be very close. Why? Well, it happened to be because of, obviously, Donald Trump and the coattails that he gave David McCormick. But let's be honest. Jack Ciattarelli's campaign has lots of momentum. And when we talk about a blue state, a deep-rooted blue state, you got to expect Democrat polls. Yes, we have a lot of Democrat polls. We got one good Republican poll, but what we're aiming at is trying to go neck and neck. And it's become quite real that a lot of polls tend to overpredict Democrats in their margins. Let's go ahead and look at the 2024 presidential race. Do we have polls margin? Let's see if there's 2024 polls by state. United States election polls by state. Okay, because nationwide polling, I want statewide polling. There we go. No, not the 2012 election, 2024. There we go. So, looking at this specifically, it's being slow. let's go ahead and find New Jersey, because there were some polls. Well, this is Florida. New Jersey. Yeah, there's no average, unfortunately. But notice, this is an overperformance by Kamala Harris. Realistically, Kamala Harris probably would be beating Trump by average by like 16 points, 15 points, 14 points in the average. This was a huge overestimation, specifically in the state of New Jersey. Yeah, you have Donald Trump, his best poll performance, I would suggest, probably in ways, it's the Signal poll, which shows Kamala Harris with 52%, Trump with 40%. Now, if you want, this is by margin, but technically Trump's best poll is going to be Active Vote, which was almost close to the election. You'll see 56 to 44%. But margin-wise, this poll would be better. But, yeah, I mean, that was an overestimation. And, I mean, the media, obviously, we know the polls were once again off. We know that the polls, they always overestimate Donald Trump as it is. So in case you don't want to count the 2024 election for some reason, we could take a look at the New Jersey race. You'll see that, yeah, Murphy was supposed to beat Jack Ciattarelli by 7.8%. Yeah, I mean, that's a better margin performance, and I would guarantee you it was the last couple polls, the two polls that really did make an impact later on. Like for also the Stockton University poll, which did show a neck-and-neck race. Well, not really. You have 40 to 48. But you'll see they were starting to close up the gaps a little bit. But now we're really closing up the gaps. Looking at specifically the, let's see here, got 2012 race. No, I don't lie. This is the 2024 election. This is the 2024 U.S. Senate. Yeah, Kim was supposed to beat Bashar by 20. By 20. And what was the actual margin of this? Well, Kim defeated Bashar by like 11. And what we're seeing right here, the 2024-2025 gubernatorial race is the closest race in the last 5 races by average. This is huge. 4.4%. Wow. Never in the averages have we, not even in 2021, 2024, 2020 for the United States Senate race, have we had the Democrat in the average by polling winning by 4.4. So this looks like a very big chance that we're going to take it. And then again, I always feel guilty when I say this and then I end up being wrong. I'm like, oh wait, you cannot take it what I say and, pour a glass of wine and celebrate early. You can't do that. There's never, ever a guarantee that we're going to pull this off. Now, if I were to put money on it, I would say we would pull off with the Attorney General's race in Virginia. That's a race we're likely to win over this. But, hey, I'm not going to say that it's not likely. It's very possible. It's more possible. It's very possible than possible that we could possibly pick up New Jersey, which would be huge. This would win the night for us because Democrats are held to high standards in these blue states, right? They're expected to perform very well because these are Democrat states that have been Democrat for 20 years. So they're expected to win. But when we pick up one state, and even if we lose the Virginia race, the governor's race, that's a blue state. So I get what they'll say. Oh, you lost this governor's seat. I get that. But let's be honest. This is a blue state. It's like us, for example, losing Vermont in the future, which is going to happen eventually. Phil Scott will, whether it be this coming midterm or it would be in 2020, 2028, Phil Scott won't run for re-election, and that seat will go to Democrats. And are we going to moan and groan, oh, we lost the Senate seat? Yeah, because we know the standards are low for Republicans because that isn't their state. It's a solid blue state, if not the bluest state in the whole entire country. Maine, another example. Now, not the bluest state, but it's blue. And it's been Democrat since 1992. And people know in general, hey, if Susan Collins doesn't run, then the expectation is that, we're going to end up losing that race. That's the expectation. In this case, Glenn Youngkin's not running. He's a very popular governor. And you got Winsome Earl-Shears running, who is, I wouldn't say unpopular, but she's okay. And I'm just saying it's possible that she could pull it off in recent polls. And if this J. Jones text messages scandal goes through the roof and ends up taking a whole entire Democratic ticket, that we could miraculously pull this off. But let's just say, expectation-wise, we go into this expecting to lose. This is what we have to have expectation-wise. And same deal with New Jersey. We know this race is going to be close, but we also have to accept and acknowledge that this is a Democrat state. This is a state that's voted Democratic since 1992. Okay? 1992. Democrats have a high voter registration advantage here. But that doesn't mean we can't pull off wins here. And obviously, looking at the averages, Republicans are taking the edge, and this is very, very good for them. So it's possible. I'm not going to say we're going to win it as of right now. I predict Jack Ciattarelli will win. That's not the same thing for me confidently saying Jack Ciattarelli is going to win, because when I say Jack Ciattarelli is going to win, that is basically saying that the scenario for Mikie Sherrill pulling it off or winning this race is impossible. I'm not saying Jack Ciattarelli is going to win. I predict Jack Ciattarelli will win. That's not the same thing as saying confidently and boldly that Jack Ciattarelli is going to win. So let's make ourselves clear. Oh, you said Jack Ciattarelli would win. No, I predicted Jack Ciattarelli would win. Okay, that's a prediction. Red Eagle Politics, I want to believe, also predicts that he will win. I want to believe at one point, On Point Politics said that Jack Ciattarelli predicted him to win. That does not mean you're basically saying, I'm confident that Jack Ciattarelli will win. I never said the word confident. I am not confident. I feel very good at the chances that Jack Ciattarelli is going to have a good night, a good performance. And whether he's going to win is really going to depend on the turnout and the energy he has on the polls. So I also want to point out and notice that, in order to win New Jersey, you got to perform good at the right areas. And that is why the trend, the 5-year trend, has been very good, because Republicans are gaining in the right areas in these races. And this is why these races are very close. Looking here, you'll see we're talking about these counties right here. We're specifically talking about Hudson County, Essex County, Passaic County, Bergen County, Union County, and Morris County. They all trended more to Jack Ciattarelli in 2021. Although you'll see there's a pattern. The counties that are more Democrat in nature tend to trend more right. Why? Well, it's not just because they're blue counties. It's because of New York City. That's why I'm saying Jack Ciattarelli should embrace Zohran Mamdani more. He needs to say, hey, look, you have Mikie Sherrill is like Zohran Mamdani's little mistress or something like that. They both endorsed each other. Mikie Sherrill wants to campaign on Trump bad, Trump this, Trump that. Well, I say, in general, we should campaign on Zohran Mamdani because he's the trending issue. People are leaving New York City en masse because of this guy. He's a lunatic, and he spells doomsday for a lot of Northeasterners. So I would say, and not to mention, yes, these counties, especially Hudson, Essex, they all go to, well, not really Essex, but because they have New York, but Hudson especially, right here, they go to work in New York City. So Zoran Mondami is the biggest issue over here. Zoran Mondami is also an issue in Bergen County, which I predicted would go for Ciattarelli. We saw Bergen County dramatically go for Donald Trump in the trends, although Kamala Harris did indeed win the county. Now, I do want to pull this up. Really? Really? All right, here we go. So, yes, Bergen County. Harris won it by 3.4. And now, if the patterns are correct, because it's true, Jack Sherrill performed better in New Jersey than Donald Trump. They seem to like Jack more than they do Trump in New Jersey. So if that hypothesis is correct, then Bergen should go more for Ciattarelli. It's true, Ciattarelli did lose Bergen County by like 5 points. He also lost Piatt County by like, I want to believe 1 point or less than. He almost picked this county up. Trump picked this county up. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, well, about the Hispanic voters and the ICE raids, blah, 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 blah. Well, I would say you got to trust with your gut that we're doing what we're going to do. I think with what the polls are suggesting, I think Hispanic voters are on our side right now. And you also have Bergen, also more trending right. And then I want to clarify, I'm not saying Hispanic people don't like what they're seeing. A lot of them support the ICE raids. They all love the ICE raids. They are thanking the ICE people. But I'm just saying, the narrative that, oh, the Hispanic people are going to go out from Piatt County to go back, Mikie Sherrill. Well, the polls aren't suggesting that. But it could happen. I'm not going to downplay that scenario. But 3.4, you would see maybe Ciattarelli gain more in Piatt, along with Bergen County. And yeah, those are the 3 counties you need to win. I have Jack Ciattarelli winning those counties so far. That's the 3 giants of New Jersey. That's very good. You also want to make sure you're performing decently in Essex County, okay? And I just want to notice the shift. Notice the shift here. Piatt, Bergen counties, solid Democratic. And it makes a trend. Now they're competitive. So, hey, I mean, both of those counties played into Joe Biden's significant win. So if we win these 2 counties, then we have a good chance of pulling this through. We got the 3 giants. This shows that we are making significant gains into Essex, making significant gains in Hudson counties. You also want to do good in Union County. Now, Union County has been trending right, 11.6% to Trump. Looking at, let's take the compare thing off. You'll see, yes, it solidly Democrat still, but compared to 4 years ago, it was 35.7% for Joe Biden. And so it's been trending dramatically to the right. You'll see Middlesex County also trended to the right also. Some say you could possibly pick this up. Or Somerset County. Now, if the map starts to look like this, okay, and this is bad for Mikie Sherrill, okay? If the map looks like this at the end of the night, which I don't predict, but you know, it could happen, then it's game over for Mikie Sherrill. This is basically a victory map for Jack Ciattarelli. You have this county right here, Middlesex. It basically connects the bridge between the solid Philadelphia area, the Philadelphia metropolitan area, and the Newark metropolitan area. Somerset County is somewhat in the way, but let's be honest, Jack Ciattarelli also almost won this county. It was pretty close. But I'm just saying, I mean, Middlesex County, I don't know why this county is Democrat. Maybe they have a big city, but hey, if Jack Ciattarelli, he could pick it up. But let's go ahead and look at the trends from recent years. So Yeah, you'll see in the more of the bluer counties are of course Republican, while red counties are more Democrat. You will notice that Somerset is trending left. Now it can trend back right, and I think maybe it'll trend back right. But I want to believe Somerset was competitive in 2017 too. Like, looking here, Phil Murphy barely won Somerset County. So just recently in the Trump era, Somerset County is becoming a Democratic stronghold. But that doesn't mean it can't vote Republican in state-run races. So I think Somerset County is trying to catch up with the presidential election results. And just recent shifts, well, let's see how Somerset went. Okay, Somerset actually went more rightward in the presidential race. See here. Although it did significantly vote for Harris. Let's remember this county was solidly Democratic to now leaning Democrat. We're going to skip the likely margin to now leaning. That's very good. And I'll expect, obviously, when it comes to trends, the Republican Jack Ciattarelli areas to go more later. Okay? To go more later. Okay? Why? Because they're not experiencing the craziness in New York City. They're not experiencing the craziness in Newark. They're not experiencing the craziness, Trenton policies in the Philadelphia metro and the Trenton area. They're not experiencing that. So expect all the people living in the urban areas are red-pilled right now. There are more, they're going to be, you ask, who is more red-pilled? It's always going to be in the blue areas. It's always, and this goes to every state. The people who are red-pilled the most, they usually live in blue states because they are experiencing the Democrat policies. And the people that, vice versa, are blue-pilled the most are usually in red states. It is just how it's always gone. But we're talking about a blue state that's trended dramatically to the Republican Party over the last 5 years. And we're looking at the map and we're seeing, yes, it's this area especially that we're seeing the most people are red-pilled, the most people are frustrated are coming from this area. And if we continue that trend, we should pull it off. That's not a promise. That's not a confident answer. Is Jack Sherrill going to win? Yes or no? I can't tell you. But I predict we're going to pull it off, mainly because I'm looking at these trends. They're going right. Even in the 2018 race, you have Bob Menendez, very unpopular U.S. senator, convicted. You got Andy Kim, generally liked, generally praised for how he handled the situation, the medical situation with Curtis Brashaw, where he almost passed out in the debate. He took time to address, to care for Curtis Brashaw, whether it was intentionally political or intentionally a political gaffe. It doesn't really matter. It accomplished one thing, and that showed Andy Kim as a caretaker and, of course, a compassionate leader, which is what he wanted people to think. And obviously, regardless if you think that or not, that helped him to a point in that debate. So, but despite that, though, this didn't convince or didn't make people in this area, especially, think any better. Kim did worse than Bob Menendez in this area. He did worse than a convicted U.S. senator. Now, let's be honest. I believe Menendez was convicted twice. You'll see that Menendez was, of course, there was a lot of movement against Menendez, especially down in the southern area. But less than in this area, for sure. There is a lot of controversy with Bob Menendez. But even when you have allegedly a clean politician like Andy Kim, you're not really seeing any better. You actually see Kim performing even worse in this area, okay? Especially. Bergen County, maybe not so much, but PSEAC, Hudson counties, they're swinging like 8 points to Curtis Brashaw. And now you'll say, oh, it's because of Bashar's a moderate. And I'm like, no, not really, because this is just backing up the points of the class. Because let's be honest, you have blue counties like Somerset. You also have Merced, I want to believe, if I know my counties correct. Mercer County, never mind. And Camden County. They are dramatically trending to the left. They're not trending solid red like these counties up here. Let's be honest. And you also have Essex with Newark. So if the patterns continue, and I have no reason to think they won't, because this is probably the most competitive New Jersey race ever, since 2013 at least, I have no reason to believe that these counties will trend left out of everything. Because you got the bad guy out, Bob Menendez. And even with the bad guy out of the picture, New Jersey, because it was in a state of disarray because of Bob Menendez, they wouldn't feel so better with Andy Kim. Yes, you do have blue areas in the countryside, and part of the reason was Kim came from this area, okay? Kim came from this area. He represents a lot of central New Jersey. So part of the reason is, yeah, part of it was they're just saying, hey, we're going back to voting Democrat because Bob Menendez is gone. Other reason is because of this county, Burlington County, because Andy Kim comes from that county. And, of course, looking at the primary results, it's become quite clear that people of Burlington County love him. Like 90% he performed. Over 90% in Burlington County. So he was the favorite son, clearly, of that county. So, obviously, yes, I do think a lot is at stake. Oh, well, a lot is at stake. But if we end up losing this race, the importance is that we don't lose it by 5. We don't lose it by 7. Okay? Because the expectations are high. Okay? For Republicans, it's not the end of the world if we end up losing New Jersey. Because people know that, yeah, this is technically a blue state still. It's New York, Philadelphia. It's environmentally liberal. So they have expectations, but they see the trends. They see the environment Republicans have. They see the advantages. They expect us to do well. So this is pretty much what I think the race is going to look like. A Ciattarelli, Sherrill victory here. No, a Ciattarelli victory. Very, 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 very tight race. I could type in their names, but, it's pretty much the end of the video. And I want to end out lastly by looking at margins, specifically with the counties that matter. That is Essex and Hudson, because that's the expectation is that, because of sanctuary city policy that Newark has, and Zoran Mandani in New York City with Hudson County and Bergen County, that Republicans will see gain. And what we're seeing here is that, Ciattarelli, 48%, despite Essex and Newark being in 70%. This tells me that even with 70%, we can make a close race. However, there's a catch. Okay? If we get this to 60%, that's the goal. That's what we want. Get these two counties to 60%. Then that could be enough, along with Passaic and Bergen counties, to actually flip New Jersey red. Looking here, you'll see it was a little bit closer in the Newark and Hudson County area. Hudson County went from 70% to 60% in the presidential race. Okay? However, Essex County still staying a bit more liberal. And now, why is this the case? Well, now let's be honest. You do have a little bit of countryside, like right here, ended up getting more. I think Trump did struggle a little bit more in the countryside, but if we get the countryside, I think Jack Sherrill, he comes from the South. We unite the South under him. That would be enough. We also have Essex. We go in and try to crouch on Essex County. That should be enough also. So I feel very good that also, let's take a look at the 2024 U.S. Senate race in those metropolitan areas. Same result as it's pretty much guaranteed what I'm looking at here. Hudson County, 60%. You could see Hudson County very well go in the 60% line. I would like to see Union County go down in the 59%. If we get Union County along with these two counties, with Essex County along with that also, down into the 60%, Union County down into the 50%, then that should be enough to win. That should be enough. That should be enough. But I'm not promising anything. Now, I back this up with trends, county trends, but anything can happen. I'm expecting a close race, and right now it's just a matter of time. So anyway, what do you guys think in regards to this video? Let me know down below. And as always, I'll see you in the next political episode.